Welcome back to our Inside the Issues special hour. It really grabs headlines anymore, but thousands of American troops continue to wage war in Afghanistan. It costs more than $40 billion a year. That's enough to pay for 2 walls in the Mexican border, enough to do a lot of things. Victory, though, seems as far off as ever, maybe farther away than ever, as Taliban forces control huge swaths of the countryside. They recently laid siege to Ghazni, a major city less than 100 miles from the capital, Kabul. President Trump promised in 2016 to keep the U.S. out of foreign quagmires, but what can he do about this quagmire that he inherited? We spoke recently with Eric Prince, who founded the private military firm Blackwater and is an expert on the country of Afghanistan. Eric Prince joins us tonight. Eric, thanks for coming on.
Hey, Tucker, thanks for having me.
So, you're one of the few people I know who's paying close attention to what's happening in Afghanistan. The president gets elected a year and a half ago, partly on the promise to reassess Afghanistan. Pentagon asks him more time, more troops. What's the result of that? Is it turning around?
Look, the president got bad advice a year ago. He originally was going to go with his instincts, which was to do something different, something unconventional. He was very deliberate about the decision-making process, but in the end, they rolled him. And after a year more, another $62 billion of spending, more dead Americans and lots of dead Afghans, we are losing. The Taliban showed that very strongly again this week. They kill another 350 Afghan soldiers, 4 districts taken. They effectively cut the country in half by cutting a major city. And just this week also killed 50 kids in Kabul studying or taking a college entrance exam. So the country continues to melt down. The conventional approach is not working. For the last 17 years, we basically repeated the Soviet battle plan, and it's not working. So it's time for the president to make some choices.
So what's the thinking here? So as you said, it's been next month it will be 17 years.
Next Tuesday.
And we do not control, a large part of the country, and it's not working. So is the thinking that something is going to change, or why are we continuing to do the same things over and over?
That is the definition of an insanity, to do the same thing and expect a different result. Again, the president got bad advice. He was only given the option of more money and more troops or pull out completely. If we do pull out completely, it will become a terror superstate because the Taliban, the ISIS have the ability to, right now they're making about $600 million a year between illegal drug sales and illegal mining. The 9/11 attack only cost $500,000, but we need to, as a country, have a sustainable and effective program going forward. And with the 15,000 U.S. troops that are there, the 30,000 contractors in country is not working. We've recommended a much smaller, a much more unconventional approach, really that goes back to what worked after 9/11, which was a CIA-led, very small team, very fast, very maneuverable, not a big plotting conventional approach. Right now, we're spending $62 billion. Even some of the staff in the White House are lying to the president. They're saying, oh, we're only spending $15 billion. No, you can look in the overseas contingency funding bill of the Pentagon. They're spending 49 plus 17 in base support for their efforts in Afghanistan, and it's wrong, and it's a much cheaper way to do that. For all the talk about Pakistan abusing the United States, it's true, but because of the Pentagon's very thirsty, very hungry footprint, we can never actually choke off Pakistan because they can choke off our supply lines. So the president should appoint a special presidential envoy, effectively a bankruptcy trustee. The president understands how to restructure basically bankrupt, failing situations. He needs to do that in this situation, give that envoy the Title 50 authorities, just like the CIA had when they went into Afghanistan after 9/11, and work this thing out. Now, there is a new commander going in who is a guy with a special operations background. That is a very good step, but the president can bolster that and have one person that reports to him to unify the multi-headed hydra of U.S. government policy and fix this. I know the president's frustrated. He asks about it all the time, I'm told, and it's time for the president to take a different path and solve and end this longest war in America. There are Americans dying there now who were toddlers or not even born when the Twin Towers fell 17 years ago.
Very quickly, is it true that other countries have secured mineral rights in Afghanistan? as we've
Sure.
poured billions into that
A lot of
country.
countries have secured mineral rights, but there's actually very little legal mining going on. The Taliban and ISIS are doing hundreds of millions of dollars worth of illegal mining because, again, as a country, we haven't advanced the rule of law into these areas to prevent actual legitimate investment. But if we go with a small, unconventional footprint, we can put this thing back on track.
And, of course, we're getting nothing out of it, as usual.
We're standing by, Mr.
Thank you
President.
for keeping up with this.
You bet.
I
Unrelentless.
hope that happens. Good to see you.